Welcome back to Ways to Love Your Money. I'm Elizabeth Dawson. And, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in every single week to watch the show. Continue to give us, information that you want us to talk about. Maybe send us an email at questions@elizabeth.dawson.com. We'd love to know your feedback, especially what you would like to talk about. Or, hey, maybe you want to be on the show. We'd love to have more guests. So stay tuned. We have a great interview with a gentleman by the name of Mike Rodman, and he's got a story to tell, and I think you're going to want to listen. So stay tuned. Well, welcome back. It's Elizabeth Dawson here, and I'm sitting here with Mike Rodman, and he is the founder and president of Best Practices of America. So I am really excited to kind of get to know you a little bit more in this journey, and really, how did you get started with the business that you're doing today?
Well, I've been in the business that I'm doing today for about 37 years.
Okay.
And like a lot of people, I kind of stumbled into it. When I was in college, I think I wanted to work on Wall Street or be a lawyer or something like that. And I didn't get the position that I wanted, and I didn't really have the money to go to law school at the time.
Okay.
So I backed into a wealth management career, and I started working from day one, as a 21-year-old with 55 to 65-year-old business owners on a very comprehensive wealth management offering.
Okay.
And this, again, it was 37 years ago, and I haven't really changed my practice very much since.
That's great. That's great. So you had some great mentors early on in your youth when you came into the financial services industry, wealth management industry.
I really did. I took a position with a company who was renowned for their training program, and they trained heavily on the problems that business owners have.
Okay.
It got heavy into tax planning, estate planning, and a little bit of investment and employee benefit planning. It was run by a couple of West Point guys, so they were really rigid with their training procedures and their requirements. So I think it was better than going into the military, better than going back to law school, and it was better than taking some positions at a big investment banking firm.
Wow.
And so again, a lucky break on my part to stumble into something that terrific.
Well, it was kind of a little bit of boot camp, but you got it firsthand with all that structure.
Absolutely.
That's great. So tell us your story. I mean, you living in Southern California, majority of your life, it sounds like. So 37 years ago, you came into the wealth management or planning position within California and within the industry of financial services. And where's your passion? Where does your passion lie here? What do you? Because you have multiple companies, or you've had multiple companies over the years. But where does your passion lie, and what you really want to help people do?
That's an interesting question. If I look back over what I've done in the last 37 years, I've owned about 26 different companies.
Wow.
So as an example, when I started out as a wealth manager for business owners, that business, paid pretty well. As a young kid, I started investing in businesses. So I bought a bakery, for example, when I was 26 years old. Just so it happened that my brother was a baker. And I sold that when I was 29 and bought a motel at the Jersey Shore because I seemed to have liked real estate. So along the way, I was either buying businesses that were unrelated to my primary position, or I started forming companies that were collateral to my primary business. So for example, I own a property and casualty insurance agency today. I own a life insurance distribution company today. I own a pension consulting practice today. So, in the beginning, it was to diversify and really learn how to be a business owner firsthand, which I felt was a good idea. But then as time went on, I targeted companies that were reasonably collateral to my primary business because I felt like I could incubate them, and then they could end up being a resource to have a sort of a family of companies. And that's how Best Practices of America was formed.
Okay.
It ended up being a family of companies, about 10% of which I owned, and maybe the other 90% were owned by other people and not me.
Oh, wow. So did you have some influence in your life when you were young that had some of these same ideas about basically pulling all these businesses together for collateral purposes, for basically this greater vision of what you had for business? Did you have someone, mentor you, or a family member that you're kind of following in their footsteps, or how did it all happen?
Well, I grew up at the Jersey Shore, and on an island. And interestingly, there were in the winter there were about 100 families that lived on my entire 18-mile long island, and we were one of the families. So every business there was sort of diversified. For example, there was this one company that was open year round. They were a real estate business, an insurance business, and they did legal work
Okay.
in the same company. So I think I was brainwashed by being in a small town that a single professional can do multiple things, maybe not themselves, but with divisions within a single company. So I think that's why I ended up thinking the way I think, because everything where I grew up was just one big building with everything in it.
What an experience. You got to go to the candy store, but yet you got to go to the grocery store at the same time or something like that. I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was a great way to grow up, by the way.
I bet. I bet.
Living there year round.
Do you
Much
still,
different than the TV show, by the way.
sure, sure. Do you still have family back there?
I do. I have a sister and a brother that both live near where we grew up. One moved to Delaware, and the other one lives on the mainland.
Okay.
So we got off the island and lives, where real people live.
Lives where real people live. I love it. Well, tell me a little bit about the business, because now you have a new story, a new challenge for business owners, and I know that's what you wanted to kind of get out of this conversation, called Best Exit. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, my primary company is Best Practices of America, and that company is a national business owner-centric wealth management organization with members in all 50 states.
Okay.
And that company's been around since mid-1990.
Oh, wow.
And the 6 areas that I've worked on for 37 years are income tax planning, investment planning, estate planning, exit planning, employee benefit planning, and risk management. So if you picture like a circle, like a pizza pie with 6 slices,
Okay.
I've always described my work with those 6 slices. But what has happened in the last 5 to 7 years is I'm getting called in to do exit planning more than 60% of the time.
Wow.
So imagine a pizza where you called up and said, I want a pizza with 60 to 70% of the food to be exit planning, and then the other 6 items would be, 30 to 40%. So I decided that there was a calling out there across the country for a national firm that had feet on the ground in major local cities that could go into businesses in those cities and deliver true exit planning services. And exit planning, I have a particular definition of it, and it's not as narrow as you think.
Okay.
It starts with identifying the value of a company. That may just be all they hire us for.
Okay.
But it gets into other areas as well.
So you do business valuation then to try and figure out what the value of what they could sell it for. Do you take them on a journey with trying to actually find or broker deals for people to come in and want to purchase, or how deep do you get?
Well, I'll give you my hopefully 30-second elevator description of what exit planning is to me.
Sure.
There are 5 stages. The first stage is identifying value, and that can be with an informal valuation arrangement or something more formal. The second area is protecting value. Once a business owner knows what their company's worth, we teach them about like intellectual property protection, like trademarks, copyrights, and things like that, and other ways of protecting their value. The third phase is building value. So we might spend years, 5 to 10 years in some cases, helping a business owner continue to refine their operations and their management team and some of their systems to help them build the value. And then at some point, might be 1 year after we met them, might be 20 years after we met them, we call it harvesting value. And that's where most people associate the word exit. So harvesting value in my world sometimes is never done because we're spending all of the arrangement with the client doing simply identifying and building value and protecting it. But eventually all businesses are sold or all businesses are exited. So ultimately, everyone will exit a business at some time. And we operate under something that I call the three-legged stool.
Okay.
Imagine where we're working on the business for years with the owner and key people of the company trying to make the business better and more valuable. But we are simultaneously retaining financial planning teams, and we're working on the owner's personal financial planning at the same time. Okay. And the third leg is what I call next act. It's oftentimes business owners are stuck. They'll never leave their company,
Sure.
and they need a little coaching on how to do something next. And so we spend about 20% of our time, helping business owners imagine what they'll do after they exit their business.
It's great.
And I think you have to work on all three at the same time in order to, create the perfect storm.
So would you say, because I think a lot of business owners, they'll get that in their mind that they want to sell right now, but maybe they should have been working with a team like you for years to get ready for that date?
That's a great question. One of the other things we use is, I call it the 3 timing scenarios. There are 3 things we tell business owners about the word timing that they should pay attention to. The first is their own energy and their own enthusiasm. Oftentimes a business could be doing great, but the owner is tired, burned out, and if they are, that's where the timing in their personal energy level has peaked.
Sure.
That's a pretty good time maybe to think about selling.
Sure.
The second timing item that I think is important is the maturity level of the business itself. Certain industries or certain businesses, they start small and they have a rapid peak, but then many industries level off. So besides measuring the energy level of the owners within a specific industry, we have data points that will help measure a particular industry's growth or stagnation. And the third thing we measure is the access to capital markets. Are there buyers out there? Do the buyers have money? Is there a lot of money out there? Are we getting higher multiples? So besides working on the 5 stages of exit planning, which we do with dashboards, we also track those 3 critical timing areas. And the ideal time to get out is when all 3 are peaking.
Okay.
When the owner gets ready to be they're too tired, they're not as enthusiastic, that maybe the industry is peaking, and then there's a lot of money in the capital markets. When all 3 of those things hit, that's not a bad time to exit.
Of course not. It's the perfect trifecta, right? You want that. Right. You want that perfect trifecta. So in your history, when you're working with these business owners and they're evolving, and maybe it's a 3 to 5 to 10 year process. I mean, in an ideal world, they're always peaking, but it's not going to happen. Does it always come together by the time you sell, or just maybe 1 or 2 pieces kind of fit the puzzle?
That's a great question. We, at the end of every year, we're usually on some kind of retainer arrangement with the client. We ask them formally, do you think you're ready to sell within the next 3 years? And if they say yes, we start paying close attention to those 3 timing elements.
Okay.
But if they say no, we go back to the building value phase where we just repeat and add other services. We're just trying to help the company become more and more valuable, even if they're not ready to sell.
Got it.
So it's not always the case where a business owner times their exit when all 3 things are peaking. But in an ideal world, we wouldn't want to see somebody sell when none of the 3 things are peaking.
Sure.
Right? So if we have 2 of the 3 timing items that we follow peaking, and maybe the third isn't quite peaking, that's usually what happens, is at least 2 of the 3 things have peaked, and then it's a good time to sell. And if we can get all 3 to peak at the same time, then we have a home run.
Oh, absolutely. So you must have a very large team that basically puts these processes and systems and procedures together, different states out of the United States, and they're working with them. And how do you oversee them? Do you get involved in those cases individually, or do you have teams that are actually doing this?
Great question. We have about 80 members throughout the United States, and many of the members are specialists, and many are generalists.
Okay.
So when we have a new member join our organization at Best Practices, we basically are able, on any specific client in any state, they could bring in a client, and we at headquarters, we could be the quarterback of the engagement. So we have clients in Florida, Chicago, New Jersey, Texas, where our team here in California is managing all of these moving parts of that 3-legged stool that I told you about. And with Zoom, believe it or not, or Skype and these other tools, it's very efficient for business owners now to have an exit planning quarterback that's not in the same city. Even if we were in the same city, we're meeting over Zoom. And we found that one of the lucky breaks of COVID is we've learned a new delivery system for professional services that we're going to continue doing it this way, even locally with business owners. We're going to have a lot more meetings with Zoom, WebEx, Skype, etc.
It's incredible because the opportunities are out there. We're able to see and talk with people that maybe before it was just a phone call, but this is even a little bit better than a phone call. You get to actually see and interface with the people that you're talking to, kind of like what we're doing here.
Right, and let me just add, besides being the quarterback, we also are able to be a vertical. So there are members of our firm in different cities, they want to be the quarterback.
Okay.
And they might only need one thing from us here in San Diego. For example, they might need help with reviewing the buy-sell agreement.
Okay.
And they might have everything else covered in their city, so we can then be engaged as a role player on one of our other teammates' team where they want to be the quarterback.
Okay.
Or if the other teammate is a vertical specialist and they want us to be the quarterback, we're able to be the quarterback. We don't care if we're the quarterback here in San Diego or if we're a role player. We just care that the business owner gets the job done.
Sure.
And it is the ultimate team sport, and it's super fun.
So when should a business owner actually think about engaging with you? Maybe they just started their business, or maybe they're, a third through or halfway through or whatever. When would a business owner take the time to make the investment to see how this process could work so that they could actually have a much more successful business, number one, but then also a better business to sell with maybe more exposure because of the team?
We believe a business owner should retain an exit planning teammate the day they form their company. Okay? And that sounds a little bit self-serving, but we've had owners where we've taken them out $20, $30 million, and they had such benefit by working with us for the 3 to 5 years before they sold that they said, hey, can we retain you now at the beginning of our next company?
Okay.
So it's sort of the begin with the end in mind concept. In a perfect world, a business owner at any point when they start a company, they should have a conversation with somebody that says, why did you start the business? What is your plan of exiting? And if they don't have a plan of exiting when they start their business, oftentimes all they have is a job. They've just formed a company and it pays them an income that's maybe a little bit better than taking a job somewhere else. And that's good, and we're proud of them for doing that. But if they can just think differently and start asking the question is, besides the nice income my business gives me, are there steps I can take to make my company an actual asset on my balance sheet and make it more valuable? And can I start to plan the fact that I'm going to exit someday?
Okay.
So we're very big into starting early and just creating a vocabulary and a set of tools so that the business owner is always aware that their business has some value. Just in case somebody knocks on the door one day and says, hey, can I buy your company? We want them to be ready if that person knocks on the door.
I think every business owner should be that way. I think business owners, including myself, small business owner, but I've developed a couple different businesses over the years, and it's about creating efficiency. But you get so, just like life, you get so ingrained into the busy of the day or the busy of the year, or gosh, we're dealing with something called COVID, and we have to become adaptable. And it's some people it's survival, and some people have really thrived. So there's a lot of different points here, which I think. The point here where it says it's exit, best exit, but I think also for you, it's not just about the exit, it's about the profitability and building up to the exit. Maybe it might be several years from now.
That's correct.
Okay. And I think the business owner that we always talk to so many, I think they need to hear that. Because it shouldn't just be based on, okay, I'm in my 60s now, I'm going to sell the business. Or, oh my gosh, my kid didn't want to take over the business. We should be thinking about how to thrive these business opportunities ongoing. So I think it's great.
We've done some research, and over 75% of the people who have sold their business, if you ask them the question 12 months after they sold it, how do they feel? 75% of the people that sold their business profoundly regret selling their business.
Wow.
Those are the ones that maybe an offer came out of nowhere, or there was a health issue, or they didn't do any planning, and all of a sudden they're 65. And so we're into flipping that statistic. We want people who 1 year after they, quote, exited their business, if we ask them that question, we want to give the answer that, boy, that was the smartest thing we ever did. And we are profoundly happy with what we did. And all it takes is some planning and some vocabulary, a little bit of discipline, and really doing something new, something that no one's ever invited them to do.
Sure.
We're inviting as many business owners to do that kind of thing
That's
as
great.
we can.
Is there a platform that people can go to that they can get some more formal education about your company and what the services that you offer?
We have a website. It's www.thebestexit.com.
Okay.
And that's a site that sort of reminds them of the 5 stages of exit planning that I mentioned. There's a little discussion about our process, how we handle all of this stuff in a convenient way. And on there's a directory of some of our members throughout the certain cities in the United States.
Okay.
So there also are some articles that we've either written or that we found other people who have written that are on point that we've added to our library. And we just decided to, starting in January, post some blogs.
Okay.
So something new for us, but
Good.
I'm sure I can learn from you how to do things like you're doing.
Yeah, we do a lot. We do a lot, but it's, the more education that people can have at a moment's notice, I think is incredible. So there's definitely something there. And I know we have a joint friend that we've met, Miss Victoria Rose, who was actually on our show. She's who recommended you come on our show. You're welcome here anytime. This is something where more and more formal education for people, whether it's a business owner, whether it's an individual, whether it's a family or a legacy plan. I mean, we want to be able to plan right, correct the first time, not have to redo it a second or third or fourth time. We want to do it right the first time.
That's right. Everything we do on a face-to-face consulting role is being converted to either white papers, articles, blogs, because there are very large amounts of business owners who maybe don't have the dollars or the time to learn what we teach some people. And we feel like it's in the public interest for us to share this information at any price point.
That's
so
great.
That business owners can start living the dream and learning some tools and learning some languages. And we think it's good for everybody.
Well, and this is a money show, right? This is a money show. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're an individual, whether you're a family, or you have, a legacy that you want to plan. And I think what's incredible about this conversation is that the business owner who's listening today, there is, so many people procrastinate. And in a year like this, we're all trained to kind of get through it. And we can't wait until, New Year's Eve, I think. But at the same time, when is the best time to start? It's really a time to take action and get a conversation going to see, what do the guts of my business look like? Is this profitable? Can it be profitable? Can it be more profitable? Can it actually gain some traction? And those are powerful things. So we want to create money, create wealth. We want to have a respect for money. And at the same time, who couldn't respect their business more if they actually have a better, more profitable structure involved? So, I thank you, Mike, for opening this door for people to hear, because I don't necessarily know that everybody knows this exists, that there's pretty much like a whole team approach to the business, and it's not just your CPA, it's not just your attorney, it's not just your financial advisor, but it's everybody involved in one group.
That's right. 2 things. I said it earlier. Exit planning is what I call the ultimate team sport. It's very hard for any single person to be a competent exit planner for any single business. And secondly, we've developed assessment tools.
Okay.
People can get started by spending 10 minutes online with one of our tools, and they'll get a report back from us for free that will really give them some information on where they stand on anywhere from 8 to 12 different categories in terms of their either attractiveness as a business or their readiness to exit as a business. So we decided a good place to start for everyone is to take an assessment and just see where you are. And
That's
that
great.
often gets
That's
a
great.
person going.
And where can they find this assessment? On the website?
They could either email us, mike@mikerodman.com, or they can go to our website, www.thebestexit.com.
I love it. Love it. Great show. Thank you so much, Mike, for being here. It's been a pleasure to have you. We'd love to have you come back. Maybe tell us a success story. I think people get excited about those things, and it's a pleasure to see you and talk to you about this, because I think that the business owner out there really needs to know that they're not just by themselves. They're not just trying to figure it out.
I want to thank you too, Elizabeth. What you do is really good for people, And I know you've had a tremendous impact, and I encourage you to keep doing this.
Oh,
It's been
thank you.
Be on your show. So
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for that. That's a wonderful comment. Well, stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll close out with a question from the audience. And we're just so grateful that Mike's been here with us and shared his precious time with us, because we all have a talent to give. We just have to be willing to go reach out and grab it. So it's time to go reach out and grab it. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, business owners, something that Best Practices America does is actually give you a foundation to be able to build your business from ground floor all the way through that process of thinking, one day I might sell. A lot of business owners I talk to, they don't know if they wanted to sell what they would do. So having a great team of support around you is going to be really the best investment you can make in your business. So take that into consideration. Some of us have a talent, some of us have a product, some of us have a service, and getting that education, I think, is so much more important. So it doesn't hurt to check out that website, and it doesn't hurt to have a phone call conversation with someone like Mike Rodman or someone on his team, because I think it could probably be powerful. If you have a question for us, we'll be happy to answer it as well. You can give us a call at 619-640-2622. I hope that you like the show. Business owners, don't procrastinate to get that, that education, that expert help from a team that can help you, because not just one person can help you. You need to have a team around you to give you that support. Again, we want to thank Mike Rodman for being on the show, spending his day with us. And again, if you'd like to be part of the show, please reach out to us either by email at questions@elizabeth.dawson.com, or you can give us a phone call at 619-640-2622. We'd love to chat with you. All right, take care. Happy holidays. The information provided in this show is for informational and educational purposes only. This show is not investment advice, nor is it intended to address the financial needs of any particular viewer. The opinions expressed on this show are not intended to be an endorsement of any particular investment strategy or service of any other kind. You must make an independent decision regarding investments or strategies mentioned throughout the show. Before acting on information in this show, you should consider whether it is suitable for your particular situation and strongly consider seeking advice from a financial advisor.